Welcome back to our second panel of the day for this year's virtual AdPR Connection, Commit to the Challenge. I'm so excited to be here today with Shelby, Nikita, and Haley, and we're going to be talking about how to navigate your niche. So without further ado, I just want to go ahead and have these lovely ladies introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Philippone. I am a public relations and social media specialist at Nebo Agency. I've been with Nebo about 2 years. I am originally from upstate New York, the Buffalo area, and I received my bachelor's degree in public relations from a small school upstate, and then I went ahead and just finished an accelerated master's program at Syracuse University as well. And then following my graduation with my master's, I moved to Atlanta to start at Nebo. Yeah.
Awesome. Nikita, what about you?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hi, everybody. I'm Nikita Pope. I am originally from Florida. I went to Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, where I majored in graphic design, and then later moved to Atlanta to go to the Portfolio Center, where I also majored in design. Since then, I've done a little bit of everything on the creative side of things. I've been an art director, a designer, in-house, out-of-house, and now I run an agency called Branding Chicks. We specialize in brand development and brand strategy for women-owned businesses and femme-focused brands.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. All right, Shelby, what about you?
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Clayton, a fellow dog UGA alum. I was just telling the group right before this call that it was my dream to sit on the AdPR panel when I was a student, so I'm happy to be here. I currently work at Twitter, where I am an associate partner manager on our sports content partnerships business. So essentially, I work with all the major sports leagues from the NFL, NBA, NHL, all you can think of, and broadcasters to help with their content strategy on Twitter, and also monetizing that content for revenue. So super excited to be here and have this conversation.
We're excited to have you all. You guys have really cool careers, and I know people are really excited to hear about it. We have just 3 questions for you pre-planned. However, if any of the attendees want to ask them a question, feel free to drop it in the Q&A section below, and we'll hopefully get to it at the end if we have any time. And if it's for any specific panelists, just specifying that. Okay, so without further ado, if we want to keep going in this order, do we like this? Haley, Nikita, Shelby, going in that order? Awesome. Okay, so our first question is, what specific tools or opportunities have helped you identify, discover, and develop your strengths?
Yeah, so for me, I think I knew I wanted to do public relations. That's where I started my career, and I've now developed kind of this dual track based off of my personal interest. Since I started at Nebo, I was solely just a public relations specialist, and I knew since I was like 14 that I wanted to do PR. I came into college with that major set, and then I really didn't look full picture at what I wanted my career to look like until really kind of my last year of college. I graduated in 3 years and then spent my 4th year at Syracuse doing a accelerated master's. My one mentor kind of was like, "You're really talented. Like, what do you want to do? Where are you going?" And that's kind of the first time I had thought about big picture. Do I want to stay in Buffalo? Am I going to New York City? And so I ended up deciding to go to Syracuse. And I think that extra year, since I already had the fundamental skills in PR, I knew I was good at what my job would have been. I really spent that entire year kind of studying alongside like what makes me really passionate. Like I already know what I'm doing. And what really caught my interest in that program is digital marketing. And so after graduating, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to a digital marketing agency. I wanted to go to a big market. And so once I really took the time to say, what am I good at and what makes me so passionate, that led me to Nebo. And I worked in PR for maybe 6 months before transitioning into this dual team opportunity, which has been really fun.
All right, thank you. That's really awesome how you narrowed down and was able to figure out exactly and pinpoint what you're passionate about. I think that's a good idea for students who are trying to figure out how to seriously navigate their niche. All right, Nikita, what about you?
Somewhat similar. I would say in terms of resources, probably the biggest for me has been twofold. people and self-awareness. If it's a matter of self-awareness, it's mostly because I've done so many different things in so many different environments. And just because I was good at certain things doesn't mean that I really enjoyed it. And just being honest with myself about the things that I enjoyed, the things that I really didn't enjoy, the things that, and some of the things I enjoyed the most were things that didn't come easily, for me. But I think just knowing that for yourself has made a big difference in my life, because I love that challenge. And so even if it's not something I knew a whole lot about, if it lit me up, if it was, it was something I was passionate about, then I just wanted to kind of continue down that path. And in terms of people, there's so many people who've been around me over the years who are doing things that I'm not doing, or that, that I've reached out to and said, hey, you're doing this thing. It sounds so cool. How do I find out how to do more of that? Can you teach me, or can you show me the way, or give me resources, or point me to a book or a website or something? And just doing that over and over and over again has been immeasurable. That learning from other people's personal experience, there's nothing like it. So that's been really helpful for me.
Awesome. Okay, Shelby, what about you?
Yeah, so I think on both of those points that was called out, one, I just want to talk about passion. I am a huge sports fan, and I was able to craft that into a career when I didn't know that I could at the time. And for me, it was really understanding where in sports I wanted to go. And not only am I passionate about the game, in Georgia football Saturdays, I'm really passionate about what happens off the field, off the court, off the anywhere. And for me, it was the social justice part that really connected me to sports, and the impact that athletes have in their communities, as we're seeing really transform before our eyes, with all the Black Lives Matter and everything that the athletes are really standing up for activism. And so I wanted to be able to follow that passion to a career. And I think just that point alone is understanding that please, is there anything you take away from this? Follow your passions, because it can make you money, and it doesn't feel like work. And I realized very quickly that sports is a big industry. It can be anywhere from to PR. It can be anywhere from digital marketing. It can be anywhere to the front office. And I knew I wanted to be more on the digital side, and how can I really think about crafting my niche, and getting into that part of the business, knowing that was the trend at the time. And I can actually give you a very specific tool that helped me get to where I was today, because prior to Twitter, I actually was at ESPN. And I kid you not, it really was a program at the University of Georgia in Grady College that honestly catapulted my career. And that was through learning Google AdWords and partnering with an agency that helped us. And Dr. Karen King, who I'm so sad she's retiring, but was a mentor of mine throughout my senior year of school, introduced me to this program. And it set me up to actually set myself apart from the rest of the candidates that were in my intern class at ESPN, that ended up giving me a job that was brand new to the entire company, because it was a niche field, which was programmatic media, programmatic and digital. And so ESPN being a heavily linear TV company, to come in and say, I have this X experience that is different from anything else you've seen, was able to get me into an area that was niche, but growing the company. So I think that's something like just keeping an open mind to new areas that almost scare you, and you feel like, I don't know what this is, but let me try to figure it out. And then Nikita's point about people, seek mentors and seek people that are in the field that you want to be in, and just learn and be open to hearing how they got to where they are, and even from this panel today with these wonderful ladies. And I think that will go a long way in your career. So
amazing advice from everybody. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. With that being said, how have you utilized you guys have kind of hit on this, how have you utilized your personal strengths in your career field?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it before, but I really took my personal interest, and I think I did a really great job as a young professional being very vocal. This is what I am so passionate about. This is what I want to do. And here is, I will, kind of present an opportunity. So I started at Nebo as an intern. And I said, I have some free time. I would love to help out on the social team. And so that turned out me just doing some very intern work for 10 hours a week. And I said, this is so great. I love it. Can I join on these meetings? Can I, help you with anything else? And I was just eager to learn. And I think you just need to be vocal and understand your own strengths and what you want. And don't be passive just because you're a young professional. And I really think what helps above anything else in a workplace is having just a really positive attitude. People will want you to kind of come and assist on a project because of the energy and passion that you bring. And that can really open so many doors, even if you're not necessarily qualified. Or I'm really passionate about, creating content. Sometimes that's a struggle for me, like Nikita said, but I love it. And so people are open to, me learning and things like that. So I think you kind of have to manifest what you want your career to be like. And I think I extended myself in a way that showed my value to the team, which then opened up me taking on the client that I was assisting with 10 hours a week. And now I'm leading clients both in PR and social media full time.
For me, I think I've always been a creative person. That was something that was always really interesting to me. Like, I was the kid that you could like give her a box of crayons and put her in the corner and you wouldn't hear from her for hours. And so I've luckily, thankfully, I feel like it's a blessing to be able to take something that I've been passionate about since I was a kid and be able to make a living out of it. So that, and just continuing that and like feeding that beast, like, figuring out, what's going to inspire me today, what things are new and exciting out there, and, just kind of, feeding the machine of that, whether it's, before COVID, but going to museums. Now Instagram is a big inspiration for me, like all that kind of stuff. I'm also a professor, so my students actually inspire me quite a bit. I love seeing how their brains work and the things that they're thinking about and all that kind of stuff. And the creative side of it for me has always been about problem solving. So even when I was just doing design work, the strategy was something that I spent a lot of time on because I thought it was so foundational. And so now, moving into a place where my agency focuses more on strategy, we still do design work and things like that, but strategy is such a big part of it, that I get paid to think, like, what kind of job pays you to pontificate about things and figure out how to solve problems, right? And that's the part that's super fun for me. It gives me a chance to go all the way down the rabbit hole on research and look for insights and like all that kinds of stuff, and really be able to create something from a true foundation of information and of problem solving and of creativity and innovation. And so just kind of, harnessing those things into the projects that I get to do every day and the clients that I get to work with, it just makes it super fun.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Nikita brought up a point before about self-awareness. And I think that's super important as you go through your college career and looking for your first job out of college, is to understand really what are you good at, what do you like, and what don't you like, and what you're not good at. And it's okay to lean into the things that you're not good at because they will help you decipher between job options. And I can give you an example for me. I think I took a writing class at Grady, and y'all, I dropped that class within one day because I knew writing was not my thing. And I had to be honest with myself because, Grady being an amazing school of journalism and mass communications, I thought I was going to be on air and be on ESPN and do all these things. And I realized I don't like to write, and to be honest with myself about what am I good at? And to the problem solving, I love solving problems. Like, it actually gives me like a little high because I actually had an emergency on Friday and I figured it out, and it really was the best feeling ever. And I realized I love solving problems for my partners and solving problems for my clients, and really digging deep into their business and taking the skills that I know of relationship building. I love people. I love any types, all types, everybody. Like, I love talking to people. And that's why I kept telling you I was going to be in sales. And that's where I ended up. And I truly didn't think that was my route. So really listen to what people tell you you're good at and lean into it, because you'll be surprised at what comes out of it career-wise. So think about like my strengths and knowing that I was very much a people person and relationship building, but also the analytics part, right? So programmatic, digital advertising, it's all numbers, performance, it is optimizations, and it's being able to assess a data set and tell a story about it, And that was what that Google AdWords program through Grady actually taught me, is how to make informed decisions off of data. And going into this field and knowing that the Hulus and Netflix of the world and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snap, TikTok, all those things rely heavily on data, knowing that is the future. So I think just leaning into those and just being very cognizant of what you know you're good at, and what, you know, maybe one of those things, you just got to say, no, I'm good, and pass along.
And our last pre-planned question is, how have you strengthened your skills outside of work during the challenges that have presented themselves from the COVID-19 pandemic? We couldn't get through this without a COVID question, guys. You know it was coming.
Yeah, I think COVID has presented, so many new obstacles. And when you are a problem solver, I love that too. You solve problems and you're like, yes. But COVID truly has opened up to, how am I thinking ahead of my client? How am I, solving these issues, taking things on, and being a good partner in the office. And then I think out of the office as well, all of us are fortunate to have jobs right now. It's incredible that we have an opportunity that wasn't taken away because of COVID. And so I think I've taken a lot of time to really assess like where I have grown within my 2 years as a professional. I've taken time to look at my portfolio that I had not touched since I graduated grad school. I updated my resume just in case. And then something that I've personally done is the past few months, I've been volunteering with some marketing organizations that really need help. A lot of people said, I'm just so swamped right now, and all of their volunteers backed out. So I am helping with Conscious Capitalism Atlanta, which is for business owners making conscious decisions. And then I also help out with AMA Atlanta. And I think they're just opportunities to kind of keep growing your skills, but also organizations need your help right now. And that is something that even as a student, they would be more than willing to have anyone kind of help out and just be a good Samaritan and a good partner.
That is wonderful, helpful news. And I know that our students will be really excited to hear that, because they're always looking for new opportunities. Nikita, what about you?
I will piggyback on what Haley said. Organizations are an amazing way to get your feet in the door in terms of like being a professional. And that's something that you can do way ahead of time. When you think about like the AMA, if you're interested in advertising, there's organizations there. If you're interested in, design or art direction, the AIGA is an amazing organization that has a really big student presence as well. And so I think that, just immersing yourself in the industry that you want to be in is everything. Whether that means, curating information for yourself. If you're a big social media junkie like I am, my timeline is curated so that I get all the information I want that comes to me. I don't have to go find it. So I follow all the companies I'm interested in, the agencies I'm interested in. I follow influencers about specific topics and all that kind of stuff. So like, even though I'm on there for probably way too long each day, I consider it to be professional development. So that's one thing. But I also think just, challenging yourself whenever you possibly can. I used to say that, if a new opportunity doesn't make me want to vomit just a little bit, then I'm probably not going to grow as much as I should from it. So if it makes me feel a little sick to the stomach, then that's probably the thing I'm going to take on, because I know that there's growth there. I know that I'm going to learn something I don't know. I know that it's going to push me to my limits in a good way. And I know it's going to, make me step outside of my box. And I still live by that. I've been in this industry for 20 plus years, but that's what keeps me fresh. That's what keeps me still knowing what's going on in the industry, and it allows me to reinvent myself and create things that I'm proud of on a daily basis. So that's what I would say.
I love that philosophy. I hope we all take that on and think about that whenever we have to push ourselves. It's good words of advice. Shelby?
I think what both Haley and Nikita said are extremely important. Another thing I'm just going to say is, we're in a pandemic and we're going through some very serious stuff in the world right now. So I also would say just cut yourself a little slack and give yourself some grace. It has been, I don't know if I told you all in the beginning, but I actually was based in New York, and now I've uprooted my life back down to Atlanta, given all that's occurred. And I think it's okay to still continue to grow into your skill sets and volunteer as I think that's an incredible idea, but it's also okay to just be right now until we figure out where in the world, you know, you all are now in this new reality of school. And Sarah was just telling me about this hybrid situation of in class and not in class and mask and all these things, and overarching just making sure your well-being is okay. So I say that to say on top of what these ladies said, which I think, you know, once you're in that space that you feel like you can really dedicate time to, again, whether it's listening or reading the trades and understanding what's happening in our business, but take some time to yourself and understand that, you know, I was in your shoes at a time where there wasn't a pandemic and I was freaking out about just like what I'm going to do after school. And like, just like Haley, I started off as an intern at ESPN, and that was my job offer until I got my real job offer. And so I would say that, like, you know, cut yourself some slack this time around, because we're not in the same old times. So that's my thing. Big on mental health.
I feel like we all need to hear that. We all need to take a little breather. I think we got to remind ourselves we're in the pandemic. We're gonna get through this. We do have a couple of questions. So for Nikita, this one's for you. I apologize if you already said this before, but did you go to portfolio school in order to work as an art director? I'm super interested in hearing about your journey towards working in the creative industry.
Yeah, so my undergrad degree is in graphic design already. I went to portfolio school mainly because I wanted to sort of expand the breadth of what I was able to do. And I knew that I had a great portfolio, but it wasn't the portfolio that was going to get me the jobs I really wanted. And so I took that opportunity to go back to school. And most portfolio schools do have both design and art direction tracks. I teach I went to Portfolio Center. I teach at the Creative Circus, and I know both of those schools have both. And so for me, that has kind of just been a trajectory of moving into a bunch of different spaces. Like I've worked in design firms as a designer. I've worked in-house as both a designer, a consultant, and a creative director. I've done art, you know, advertising and been an art director there. So those titles kind of change a little bit depending on the environment. But I will say that the thing that's helped me the most is being able to bounce around in that way and learn so many different environments and how the creative space changes so much, and how what those skill sets that you have can be applied to so many different things. So that's kind of been my trajectory. And because of all of that experience, that all set me up to start Branding Chicks. Like, I don't think that I would have been able to do that without seeing how agencies run, without seeing how in-house, you know, departments are run, without consulting in a myriad of different businesses and those kinds of things. All of that kind of culminated into this one space. So I would say, you know, similar to what Shelby said, you know, really take the time to explore and, you know, take the opportunities that come up, even if they don't necessarily always seem like they're the one that you want right then. So many times I thought, this is a detour, like this is going way off track from what I thought I should be doing. And it turns out that those things all, you know, came together to kind of get me what I needed. So yeah.
That is so funny you said that, because our last and final question is, do you think it's better to have multiple internships in different fields of communication to find your niche, or to have more in the same field / niche? So anyone can answer this.
I mean, I think any internship is good experience. I've done other panels, I think at AdPR Connection last year, like what do you do if your first internship is not a good fit? You can find your niche by having the wrong internship. So I think kind of taking what presents itself to you and still using that to find out, what did I like about it? How can I provide my strengths into this internship, even if it's not the industry that I want? So if you're huge on content creation or social, and so you're working for, I don't know, like an automotive company, you know, finding ways to make really great content. Same with, I mean, you could be working in pharmaceuticals and find ways to make really cool content and navigating your niche. And I think that would stand out kind of more than if you had your dream job right off the bat. So
that is an excellent question. And sorry, y'all, my sister was having something fixed in here, so apologies. And then she was trying to chase my dog or her dog around, so apologies on that. But that is an amazing question, because I was actually faced with this when I was doing internships, because I knew I like sports, but I always just said, whatever sports I'll do. And it was actually interesting because it was the internships that actually showed me what I didn't want to do and then what I really was actually good at. And you'll actually, when you get, and I will go with the point that you should have absolutely internships in different fields, different companies. I will give you one example, and this is really like a story of just, you know, a really feel good story to let you know that you will make it to where you're supposed to be. And it was the internship before the senior year. And y'all know that's the internship that you just have to put on your resume to speak to get that job after college. And I remember I was stuck with none. I was literally going agency after agency after, you know, ESPN, NFL, everywhere. And I just didn't get any hits. And I had never felt so discouraged in my life because I thought I had to have the sports internship to make it in sports. And I actually last minute, like literally a month before, you know, we all left out for school, I was offered with an opportunity to go work in the mayor's office in Atlanta. I am nowhere interested in city government or politics or anywhere like that for my career. But what it did, and I remember having a chat with my dad, and I think this will be something that, you know, you all should take away with, is that your resume, two things actually. Your resume and the experiences you have, the more diverse it is, the actual better. Because it's going to show a wealth of experience that you've been able to culminate throughout your collegiate career, that can speak to many different areas in advertising, PR, or whatever industry that you're interested in. But two, I remember being like, you know, Dad, like, this isn't sports. Like, you know, a sports, you know, company or whatever is going to look at this and say, sorry, it's not sports. And I remember this was really resonated with me and stuck with me, is like, it doesn't matter about the actual company, the name, who it is. It's the transferable skills that you're able to take from that company. And that is what's going to help you set up for success. And knowing, again, the diverse background, those two together, I mean, it's a win-win-win across the board. And it actually, again, I got to speak to those experiences separately because they all were so vastly different. I was working for the promotions. I was spray painting kids' faces, promotions department at UGA, and monitoring the bouncy house. And I was like, yeah, so fan engagement is probably not the way I want to go, but I learned so much. And again, it's the people that you meet from those places that are going to help you propel your career forward. So I just have to say that's an excellent question, and absolutely it should be as diverse as possible.
All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank you guys all for coming today and speaking. We really appreciate it, and all of the good advice, tips, and tricks about how to navigate and figure out your niche. So thank you so much for coming, and for the attendees watching, be sure to check out our other panel tomorrow at 2 p.m. and we'll see you then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks.